Hello, everyone. On today's episode of DEETOUR, we have my brother, Anand Murthy, who is the CFO of 5-4 Group and all of our brands, and a partner in Queensbridge Venture Partners, a early stage venture fund that we started years ago. And we wanted to highlight the other side of entrepreneurship that people don't talk about, kind of the harder side, the darker side. And we really want to touch on what characteristics it takes to be an entrepreneur. What does it take to fundraise? What are things we see in entrepreneurs that are clear characteristics that separate them from people that have success to people that will go on to struggle? So listen in, let us know what you think at the end of the episode, DM us, and enjoy this episode. I think it's going to be a start of a series of topics that my brother and I are going to cover. All right, in today's episode of DEETOUR, I have a special guest, my brother, who, along with me, has been at 5-4 for many, many years. And also, we have our investment fund together, and he's also invested in a ton of different companies. And today's topic is the dark side of entrepreneurship. I know right now on Instagram, on the internet, being an entrepreneur is glamorized to be the coolest thing in the world. And now, as being an entrepreneur for nearly 20 years, we wanted to kind of highlight that it's not all that it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, so you started in almost 2001, is that right?
Yeah.
2001. I guess you had businesses before that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the point of this was really to highlight how long it takes to even get any traction with your business, how long it takes, how much sacrifice you make. And the point I wanted to make was starting a business, if you want to be an entrepreneur, it's not to get rich.
No.
It's because you're really passionate about building a business or solving a problem.
Yes.
And I don't think people understand that.
Yeah, because I'll be honest, if it was about money, I could have made way more money not being an entrepreneur.
Right.
If I had just, I didn't even make money really for the first 10 years of being an entrepreneur. But if I had just taken a job, saved my money,
Right.
bought a house, let my 401k appreciate.
Or just do the LinkedIn hop from executive position, position, you could stack a few $1,000,000 along the way.
Yeah, stock options,
Yeah.
this and that. And I think people think entrepreneurship is this gateway to this fantasy life, and people want to control their destiny. I feel like young people today want this freedom, and they think that entrepreneurship gives them freedom. It's actually, to me, the ultimate jail sentence.
Yeah, it's the complete opposite.
Because sure, you get freedom in the sense of you may get to dictate your hours, but think about what you're beholden to as soon as you're an entrepreneur. You are now responsible for everything, all of the bills, all of the staff, all of the growth of the company. Everything that happens in a business, the founder is responsible for.
You can make the argument that the founder becomes the biggest employee.
Yes.
Because you have investors to answer to, you have a board to answer to, you have employees to answer to, and you have your customers.
Yeah.
So you have 4 different bosses.
Yeah, it's nuts. And I think people think that you get to stroll in at whenever you want or leave whenever you want. Because the problem, I think, is entrepreneurship is also mixed up with this idea of like the gig employee, which is like the guy or woman that chooses to take side hustles, like drives for Uber, graphic designs in the afternoon, and then maybe Postmates at night. Sure, that is an entrepreneur to a certain extent, but not in the traditional sense of like building a business with staff and the responsibilities that come with it. And I think being an entrepreneur is amazing. I absolutely love it. It's my entire life, but I just don't like selling people the dream that you're going to get rich.
And even if you talk about some of the most successful companies that have been built in the last 15 years, the number of transitions and pivots they had to make. Yeah. Airbnb was a completely different business when they launched.
Yeah.
Lyft was a completely different business.
Yeah.
Uber had traction somewhat early on.
But those are serial entrepreneurs that started it.
Exactly. And those are some of the most successful companies in the last 20 years that we're mentioning. So let's talk about average companies. Yeah. How long does it take to get traction?
Yeah.
If you're not one of these special, just like hockey stick growth.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the problem is the Instagram entrepreneur gets fed a bunch of exciting information that you're going to make a difference, make an impact, control your own destiny. I would argue that being an entrepreneur, the part of controlling your destiny that you control is how much effort you ultimately put into the business. But there's so many factors in entrepreneurship that determine why you're successful that you do not control. The timing of when your business is launched, macro events, the industry you're in, the suppliers that you have, the customers you have. You have to get a little bit lucky to be successful in being an entrepreneur. And I think people think I control my own destiny. I control all my own time. I'm going to make it. I just think that there needs to be people educating people on what entrepreneurship actually means, because people will always tell me I'm the CEO of blah, blah, blah. You may give yourself the title of CEO,
Yep.
but it doesn't mean that you're running a business or you're doing anything that is remotely close to someone that has the responsibility of a CEO. Like, people don't realize that our daily job is more HR, putting out fires, things of that nature, more so than getting to go create a vision and executing it, because we're spending so much time doing those types of things. We don't even have time half the time to actually work on things that are going to help the business.
What would you say the minimum number of years, if you're going to go down this road of an entrepreneur, before you know you actually have traction or something that can be long lasting?
I mean, I think it's at least a 5-year journey, because here's the thing. Year 1 and year 2 are so, like, you're first of all delusional when you're starting a business, because you actually think it's going to work no matter what. And it's a great attitude to have, but it's also a hindrance, because you're so narrow and you're blinded by what objective thinking people may offer you or perspectives people may offer you. So I think the first 2 years you're on this narrow scope. You're just running 1,000,000 miles per hour and you're like, I got this figured out. Then reality starts hitting. Things don't work, because you do this beautiful business plan. You do this beautiful projections in P&L. Year 1 comes. No one ever hits year 1.
Yep.
Year 2 comes. No one ever hits year 2. Profit, loss. You're losing money. You're short of money. So your old partner sued you.
Yep.
You owe money now. And now you're like, okay, can I stomach this and continue? And that's why I think for us, it was 10 years.
Right.
It took 10 years to figure anything out.
Absolutely.
But 5 years is bare minimum to know if you have any traction.
And that's 5 years with no recession hitting.
Yeah.
No.
Your industry's still intact.
Yeah, some new technology didn't come and completely disrupt whatever you're doing.
Yeah, because I've met plenty of super talented. We've invested in super talented businesses that we've thought this is unbelievable, and then some macro event happened that changed that industry that made it irrelevant.
So what personality traits would you say you need to have to even endure the setbacks that you have as an entrepreneur, the ability to raise money,
Yeah.
the ability to hire people?
Yeah.
So what would you say? Like, give me 4 or 5 personality traits.
Yeah, I think the first one, you have to be patient and realize that you're not going to have success right away. Once you come to terms with that, you can then take that next step. That's the first characteristic. The second is likability. Raising money is about likability and ability to articulate a vision. If you're not a good communicator, you will not raise real money,
Right.
ever, because people want to invest in people. They think they're going to change the world. Whether you can actually do it or not is irrelevant at the point of raising money. If you think about, there's a documentary coming out on Elizabeth Holmes, who was the founder of Theranos. I bet you in the boardroom, she told the vision that she was going to change the way we genetic test and drawing blood and whatever the hell she was selling. And that, to me, raising money and operating a business are 2 different skill sets. Some people are amazing fundraisers. Some people are good operators. So it's good to have a partnership. And I think the last thing is you have to be an expert in your industry. Whatever you go. We sit down with entrepreneurs and recently with someone we know, and they had no knowledge of the space, which is fucking unacceptable to me. Like, if you don't know every single player, that's like you coming to me and saying, hey, have you ever heard of Trunk Club, Stitch Fix, whatever? And I don't know the answers to those questions.
Yeah.
That means I'm not doing my homework. So I think those are some basic characteristics that you have to be. You need to be an expert. There's literally people coming into the office all the time talking about they're entering this industry. I'm like, oh, have you heard of this? And they haven't heard of it.
Right.
I mean, if this is your whole life, you should know everything about this.
Yeah, you
world.
have to live and breathe the industry.
Yes.
It can't be a hobby.
No. What about when you've written checks for investments?
Yeah.
What is a characteristic that gave you comfort, even if they didn't come from that world?
I would say knowing that they will be able to stomach pitfalls early on in their business.
Yeah.
So like the basically like strength of their personality, meaning everyone who started their business has changed 3 or 4 times over.
Yeah.
So how are they going to react when they hit that first roadblock?
But how can you tell that? How do you know if you have that skill set?
Honestly, to a second-time founder,
yeah,
that's a big.
Yeah.
That's a first-time founder is hard to back.
Yeah.
I mean, I can miss out on unbelievable opportunities by not backing a first-time founder.
Yeah.
But you want someone that's already gone through it
And failed.
So yeah, so they're not too green.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna know. Okay, look, we're gonna. And the first thing you do when you get a early stage deck is throw out the financial projections.
Because bullshit.
Complete bullshit.
Yeah.
I won't even look at it. It's like every financial projection I've seen
Is
it
a
starts
rocket
out,
ship.
No, it's 2 million first year.
Yeah.
It's 8 to 10 year 3, 40 year 3,
And then they're
it's
billion.
100.
An IPO.
Yeah, everyone hit a $2 billion IPO.
Okay.
How many tech IPOs have we seen?
Nothing. We've hardly seen any. And then what about in terms of
Second time founder is probably the most important thing because you just know that they know what the game's like.
Yeah.
They're not coming in naive. They don't think that, and operation experience helps a lot.
Yeah.
Because you want someone that actually you're much more likely to be a successful entrepreneur if you worked as an operator
Yes.
and you've seen it from firsthand experience as an operator, not just an investor. Like I don't think as an investor I'd be a great entrepreneur.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that people need to differentiate is, and this you have to ask yourself this hard question, is your idea may be great, but ideas to me are worthless. It's all about execution. We've heard some of the best ideas we've ever heard. You know, people walked in here, told us the best ideas, and they've gone on to fail. And then people who didn't have that great ideas, who were selling like widgets, and we're like, they've been extremely successful. So much of entrepreneurship is execution, but unfortunately, social media doesn't glamorize execution.
Yeah.
They only glamorize ideas, and they glamorize the concept of entrepreneurship. It's the person that's sitting there executing the business day in and day out is the one that's actually going to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And the most successful companies are unbelievable operationally.
Yeah. And that's like, you take Amazon as the best example.
Yep.
They're flawlessly executed, and that is why they're successful today. Great. This is awesome. DM us if you have any questions or more further thoughts on this. If you're an entrepreneur wanting to be an entrepreneur, or you want to know what it takes to be an entrepreneur and see if you have it, Anand and I will tell you if you have it.
We can tell you the horror stories.
Yeah.
Which we didn't do.
We haven't even done that. That's like 14 more episodes of podcasts. That could be like Serial, the murder of an entrepreneur. All right, guys. Thank you.